Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Denise Chan, and I'm the host of Changing Minds Film Fridays with Community Access. Changing Minds is a unique storytelling program that uses film as a path toward promoting positive dialogue about mental health among young people and their peers. We've received over 3,000 film submissions from 88 countries around the world. Many of these films are available to view on this YouTube channel or at communityaccess.org/Changing Minds channel. And a link to our discussion guide is also available there if you're interested in sharing films and having a dialogue about mental health. As part of this initiative, we also have this weekly discussion series called Film Fridays, and I'm so excited to be your host for today's Q&A with Jada Silverstein, who created the amazing film Speak. Hello, Jada.
Hi.
So happy to have you here. So first off, please just tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from and kind of what led you to create this film.
Well, as you said, my name is Jada. I'm from New York, Long Island, New York. And this film was based on a spoken word poem that I wrote after I got out of the psychiatric hospital. And it kind of developed over the years because I got out when I was like 19, and it developed as I got older. I edited it, and I had an idea to make it visual, but I'd never seen um, that before. Like, I've never seen poetry in the way of a film, and I'm sure it exists, but like it just was never on my radar. So I wasn't sure how to do it, but I had just made my first short film a couple months before, and I was on like a high because I was like, I really love filmmaking. And so I just decided to, it was barely like a script. I just was like, this is what I want the visuals to be like. And we kind of just went.
That's so cool. I felt that the storytelling was really unique in your film. Like you were saying, the spoken word poem. I was like really interested in how you did that voiceover narration and then came up with the scene with the two girls as children meeting each other on the beach. That was such like a strong visual. What was kind of like your creative process for coming up with the film?
Um, so the beach scene with the two um younger versions of me and the other actor actually came from the idea came from watching a music video from this singer that I like. And in their video, their videos were just very different from typical music videos. Like they had a full story. And I was like, I want to do that, but with my poetry. And I am a very visual person. So when I'm writing, I can see everything. And the symbolism, like with that, it kind of just from watching that video and like letting it like develop in my brain, it kind of just all came together. Like it started as a thought in the back of my brain, and then it just kept developing into something more. And I think even on the day, there was just more that like came from being there with the kids on set. We shot a bunch of different shots of the kids playing and us playing, and not all of it made it in the final cut, but the creative process really never ended with it. Um, but yeah, I think I just take things that I see in film, TV, life, obviously my experience in that setting, and just it all comes together in my brain. I just, yeah.
That's so cool. There is something like really pure about that scene of like seeing the children playing with each other and then like them as adults or like older being able to like connect with each other through that.
Yeah, I really love that scene. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. So
Thank you.
what are some of the themes about mental health that your film shares?
Um, I think I've heard, could you explain what you mean by themes? Like, give like just an example so I know that I'm answering the question correctly.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of broad. But something like, oh, like struggling with self-doubt
Gotcha.
or something along the lines of that. Like what kind of like mental health like struggle do the characters in your film
Okay.
experience?
Okay, that's what I thought. I just sometimes
Yeah.
like answer questions and I'm like, that's definitely not where it was.
Oh, no worries, no worries. You're
Um,
good.
I think I've heard, so I've screened the film at in person um, at a festival, and people came up to me after just to be like, "This really touched me," which is means so much because obviously my reach isn't huge, but all that I need is one person to be affected by it, and then my job is done. I think people relate to it in so many different ways. Like it can mean so many different things. For me, the primary, I mean, it's called speak. So the primary thing for me is my trouble with speaking, um, and how it's perceived in like adult life. Because when I was a kid, it was more acceptable. Obviously, it still wasn't, but as I grew and became an adult, it became like not accepted. Like it's not, it wasn't okay. Um, and there are still a lot of spaces that like accept me, but in the psychiatric hospital system, it just, it's just this like demeaning, like experience. Like you get the feel that nobody wants to be there. And I mean, I understand, but also it's, um, not like obviously the patients don't want to be there, the
Mm.
doctors don't want to be there, so it's like a tough situation. But I think I felt a lot of in that particular setting, it was a lot of like if you can't speak, you're less than or whatever. Um, I think it explores that because a lot of people have difficulty speaking for different reasons, whether it's neurodivergence or anxiety. But I think there's so many different ways to communicate. And I think that's a big part of what I'm trying to say in the film. Um, of like, I'm, I have words to say and like things to say if you gave me space and time and different ways to communicate. Um, I think it also explores um, depression, trauma, um, self-harm, and I think a lot of people, no matter what they're going through mentally, can relate to it because it's very broad of like I've heard people who've never been to the hospital relate to it. I've heard people who've been in the hospital relate to it. Like one of my cast members had also been through the psychiatric system and she was like, thank you like so much for letting me be a part of this. They're a wonderful person, but it's like very just relatable to everybody, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, that kind of builds into my next question about how can filmmaking and storytelling break down mental health stigma? Like you mentioned, how everyone found it very relatable.
Yeah. I think filmmaking is so important. It's it's been like important in my life. It's how I learned about myself and other people and communication and just I learned so much from watching films and TV and which is why I make films now. But um I think that people don't realize the impact that film has, whether it's negative or positive. Um, and watching, hearing these terms in television and film of like the negative stigma of mental health, it affected me. Like it kept me quiet because I saw all these things on TV and like just these words that are like so negative anytime mental illness was brought up. And I think that if it could affect me negatively, that it also can have the opposite effect. So if people start to talk about it and break down those walls, and more people will feel comfortable to heal, to speak, to like just to get help, like to reach out to get help and to um accept themselves. Like in the deepest level, like it starts with accepting that these things are part of you, whether you like it or not. And then the next step, you can, once you accept it, you can actually begin to heal. But I think it all starts with self-acceptance. And I think I found self-acceptance in film and TV as like a queer person. So I think it's the same thing for mental health, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think your film kind of has a little bit of that theme of like reaching out and like connecting to someone else in like you were saying in ways other than through like words or speaking. Like your film has such a powerful like visual language to it that I found really interesting. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's really cool. So we're gonna start wrapping up here. So I have just like one last question for you. What are some of your like future prospects? What do you want to work on next? Any future projects, and where can people find your work?
So I'm currently working on a feature length film that's loosely based on Speak, and I'm like pitching it right now, and I'm really excited to explore it more. I have one of my other feature scripts just got accepted to a festival, so I'm kind of um, trying to build community and connections to get more funding for films and work with a bigger team because I'm really used to doing small films, which is special, but it's also really draining. And I think with a feature film, it's especially important to have a dedicated team and funding. So I'm currently working on that, and I'm hoping to get into pre-production by the end of this year. Um, my first feature film, which was fully self-funded, just premiered in Georgia and New York. So that'll be out sometime, probably early 2026. I have a few short films out on my production company's YouTube channel, and I have a few that are coming out. I have to look up the name for you. I don't know it. So I have two production companies. They're kind of mending like into one. Um, I think this one is like the film says Offbeat Films Production Company.
Mhm.
But I have another one called She is a Siren Pictures, and we're uh, combining. So right now, our YouTube channel is Offbeat Films Production Company. All like, that's all it is. It's at Offbeat Films Production Company. And I post a lot of updates and stuff on my production company Instagram, which is she is a siren underscore pictures. I post trailers, behind the scenes, and stuff like that. I also do on my personal account, which is, well, my public account, which is Jada Emily underscore. And on my Instagram, I share the links to the film. So if for some reason my YouTube is not you're not able to find my YouTube, you can always go to my Instagram, and I have all the links in my bio.
Amazing. Well, your film was so creative and inspiring, and everyone should definitely go check it out, find all the links, follow everything. I definitely will be.
Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about it. Um, yeah, we'll be able to your film will be on the YouTube channel, so people will be able to check it out. But please also go find that's so amazing. You have two production companies. Like, wow.
That was like a weird thing that happened, but it happened and it's done. So
Yeah, yeah, and congrats on the film festival acceptance too. That's
thank you so
amazing.
much.
Yeah, looking forward to your feature film. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this chat.
It was nice talking to you. Thank you.